the whole interaction and meeting between the brothers and Yosef is at its climatic point, where Yosef sent them back home with some food, but in order for them to bring Benjamin. Why? He needed to test them. He needed to see if the brothers have actually done TeShuva, or they still hate the sons of Rachel. They still hate Yosef. They still are willing to throw him under the bus. And in essence, he wants to see if they're going to do the same thing with their brother, with Benjamin, in order to save their lives. And what's a better proof but to get them to bring him there? After they bring him there, of course, everyone knows that has followed the parasha, knows that the whole sabotage that Yosef planted to test them puts them in a situation where the brothers are surprised that they now have to face Yosef again, which obviously they don't know he's Yosef yet, and they want to, fix their public image. How? Simply put, becoming slaves. To show that they didn't do it, they can't prove. So they said, listen, we'll do what we said. We'll do what we said. We said that if you find this cup among us, we're all going to become slaves. So we're all here to become slaves. We see here how important the value of words are to these righteous brothers of Yosef. Yosef never told them you're all going to be slaves. And even his son, Menashe, that said, I'm not going to make all of you guys slaves. But they're saying, no, we're all going to become slaves. Why? Because that's what we said. That's what we said. But at this point, all of the brothers are of the opinion that this is a punishment from God. For all of them, for what they did in the past. The brothers that sold Yosef threw him into the hole without having any mercy. Reuven, even though he wasn't involved in the sale and he really actually wanted to save Yosef, still he didn't do it fast enough. He didn't fight for it. Yehuda, obviously being the leader, everyone feels like they're being punished for it, and everything is about to change when Yosef says, no, I don't want you all to be slaves. I'm just going to take Benjamin to be a slave because he's the one that we found the cup. So now the deal changes, and everyone is still of the opinion that this is a punishment, but perhaps it's lesser of a punishment. So Yehuda, the leader, steps up and says, fine, you want a slave? Take me as a slave. Take me as a slave instead of Benjamin. I am stronger than him. I'm smarter as far as how to manage a war, a battalion, an army, anything you want. I'm more skilled than he is. He's just a young kid. And Yosef says no. Yosef says no, and at that point, when Yehuda hears that Yosef says no, that this viceroy in front of him says no, Yehuda tells his brothers, go check all of the different locations that are key locations of where the army of the Egyptians are, and bring back a report. This is in the Me'am Loez. Naphtali, who had what's considered superpowers in today's world of speed, was able to do that in just a matter of moments, to go into all of the points of power of Egypt, and came back with the report. At that point, Yehuda, the Midrash says, roars such a roar that the whole building shakes. Paro, that's completely in a different building, he falls off of his throne, and so does Yosef. And Yehuda is about to go to war. He tries to take his sword out, but it's stuck. Something supernatural is holding him back from being able to take out his sword. And at that moment, Yehuda realizes that this viceroy that's in front of him is not just some Egyptian. This public image that he's had until now is understated. There's something else here. He must be righteous. because God is helping him win the battle. And at that moment, Yosef realizes that this thing is about to go too far, and he uncovers who he is by speaking to them in Hebrew, Sfat HaKodesh, in the holy language. And this shocks the brothers in much more ways than you can possibly imagine. But why does he do it? Why is this the main point? Why didn't he do it 5 minutes before it, 10 minutes before it, a day? Why did he pick this point? In chapter 44, in the book of Genesis, Yehudah says to Yosef, you put us through this whole process of bringing our brother. I told you that I can't because his soul is connected to his father's soul, and his father would die if I didn't bring him back. And then it says, should you wonder why I of all my brothers am advocating for the youth, meaning for Benjamin? It's because your servant, meaning Yehudah, your servant has pledged for the youth, having accepted the responsibility for my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I will be considered a sinner to my father for all time. Here, Yehudah discloses something that pretty much breaks the heart of Yosef to make him realize they have done TeShuva. This test has been completed. Why? Because Yehudah tells Yosef, I have put my olam haba, my eternity, on the line as a promise to my father that I'm going to bring back his son Benjamin. And I rather stay here as a slave to you for the rest of my life than to come back to my father without him, without Benjamin, and thereby lose my eternity, lose olam haba, go to Gehenom forever. The fear of Gehenom, Rabotai Yekarim, was very much a real fear in all of the tzaddikim from then till now. And Yehudah here is telling Yosef, I've put that on the line. If I don't fulfill the promise to my father by bringing back his son Benjamin, I don't have an olam haba. And not having an olam haba doesn't mean you just disappear like some people think, but rather I go to Gehenom forever. I'm going to be considered a sinner forever. And thereby what Yehudah is telling Yosef, it's better that I'm a lifelong servant than even one moment as a wicked person in the eyes of God. Woe to us on the day of judgment. Woe to us on the day of rebuke, when each and every single one of us has to face HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and he has to determine whether we are really righteous or wicked. Many people think that they're much more righteous than what they really are, until they start learning Torah and they realize that the list required of fulfilled tasks in order to be righteous is very different than what their imagination was. See here, Yehudah is telling Yosef, I'd rather be a slave. Slave that you could do whatever you want with. Yosef could not steal his face anymore, could not keep his face straight anymore, and he cried out, and he says to them, I am Yosef. Ani Yosef. Aod avichai. I am Yosef. Is my father still alive? The brothers could not respond to him. And the Chachamim say the reason why is because as soon as they realized that this is really Yosef, every one of them had a heart attack and died. All of them died, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu resurrected them. This was one of the few resurrections that actually happened. Another famous one was at the time of Yecheskel, Ezekiel, the famous segment of the Navi called the dry bones. There were multiple times that Hashem resurrected the dead. This was one of them. He also resurrected Am Yisrael after they died at Mount Sinai. From the fear of God's voice. Here, the brothers died from the fear of embarrassment, of realizing that all this time it's Yosef, which means that the dreams that he had 22 years ago, or at this point 27 years ago, 29 years ago, the dreams were right. He was right. He was righteous. We made a mistake. In so many words, we've been living a lie for 30 years. We are meant to be a light unto the nations, not to follow their misguided practices. Remember, every Jew has to remember that he's a Jew and she's a Jew. We don't celebrate non-Jewish holidays, even if they seem harmless. It's a zilzul, disrespect to the Torah.